Welcome to the top of the morning show. It's your girl TT from the D, and I want to thank you for tuning in this morning. Choose our podcast to roll with in the early part of the morning to start your day. If you tapped in for Tap In Tuesday last night, then you know it was an amazing show. I had four amazing women on. I had Alpha Born. We talked about her hair care product. I had Toy Wagner Divine on. We talked about her makeup brush line and how she's a professional celebrity makeup artist. We also had on Crystal. She has a skincare business. We talked about her amazing business. And then we also had the queen that I am blessed to have this morning on. We had AC, Aleta Cotton. She has an amazing formula that she puts together, and it's all natural and it's a healthy tea. And so this morning, we're joined by AC. She's going to talk to us a little bit about her brand, um, how she got started with it, where she looks to go with it, and things of that nature. So I want you to sit back and relax if you've had that moment to have your cup of coffee, your cup of tea. You know, if you're lucky, you have some of that ACT, but if you don't, it's okay. We can move on. And as in the future, when you rise up in the morning after you say your prayers and thank God for rising, you can sip on you something that's comfortable because it's going to get you relaxed. It's going to get your energy flowing, and it's definitely going to be another healthy regimen that you can add to your already healthy diet. Hopefully you have one. I'm prophesizing that you already are taking the initiative to eat better and drink better. So without any further ado, I would like to bring on board AC. Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning. Thank you for having me. I'm wonderful.
I am excited to have you on. We just was on last night for Tap In Tuesday, so I want to thank you for doing the live stream with us. If you guys missed it, you could go back and check it out. It's all on all the social media platforms, especially Facebook, because we live stream from there through StreamYard, but you could catch it on YouTube. And I'm thinking about changing and pulling it down. It was such a on my top of the morning roster in the next. Thank you for taking time out last night, but also taking time out this morning.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
You are absolutely welcome. So let's jump into it. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. I brew all natural tea, all natural ginger teas and turmeric teas. And it's just something that I do or have done in response to the pandemic, but it wasn't anything that I planned or sought to do on purpose. It really was my own personal recipe, and it is my own personal recipe. It's just something that I enjoy. It's what I go to if I'm not feeling the best. It's what I go to when I want to relax. It's what I go to when I just want to chill. You know, I love the tea. I subscribe to it. I keep it. It's a staple in my home. I give it to my child. And so when the pandemic hit, my brother had gotten COVID, and the teas, I had taken them over some teas, dropped them off, and I labeled them the vaccine and the booster.
Mhm.
So with his friends, they quarantined together. They had some teas. They drank it. They liked it, but it helped them to get better fast.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so they reached out again, like, "Hey, you got some more teas?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Maybe got another round and another. And he said, "Wow, they really did help. I mean, and they're really good too." And he gave me a shout out on Facebook, and people were jumping in my DM, and the rest is history.
Wow. I have to say, because I am a customer and I had the opportunity of meeting you while we were doing Peerless Times, which was an amazing ministry from our encounters that God has a way of allowing us. And I think we talked about this. We touched on it a little bit last night that your gift will make room for
Mhm.
you. When you're naturally obedient, God gives us all, and a lot of our healing comes from the herbs, right? The natural things of the earth.
Yeah.
When you are quiet, and during the pandemic, the height of it, because let me be clear, we know we're not through with it. It
Mhm.
still lingers, and there's still people that still catch, COVID cases, different variants, and things of that nature. But it allowed you to tap into your natural resources. It also allowed you to be creative and look at the things that we had access to, and a
Mhm.
lot of fruits and vegetables were right there. Some people got more involved with using them, learning how they mix well, which
Mhm.
brings me to my first question. So, you have the one, I don't know the names of them, but I know the one I favor is the one with the ginger. And I say that only because I remember one evening we were at rehearsal and I wasn't feeling the best, but I still came to rehearsal
Mhm.
and I got the ginger. That was my first time getting a tea because everybody was like, "Oh, they're so good, they're healthy for you," and I got a ginger tea, and I felt so much better before the end of the night. I felt energetic, and our rehearsals weren't short; they were kind of long. But I felt energetic.
Mhm.
My throat wasn't hurting anymore. I don't know. I just felt. I don't know. I was thinking like, what's in it, and then it's healthy. So you know how they say some things that are healthy are not good to you, and then the things that are not good to you are bad for you. And your juice is healthy for you, but it's also good. So my question is, how did you come up with what to mix with what to create your two juices that we know about?
You know, I didn't. I do not feel like this has anything to do with me. I really think that um this is something that God has done because it's all God's creation, it's all God's work, and I'm just blessed to be able to stumble upon a mistake. The reality is, I knew about the benefits of ginger and I would always add it into my tea. And
Mm-hmm.
I was pregnant with my son, maybe about 14 years ago now. Pregnant with my son, and at the end of the day, I would sit back and have a cup of tea and just relax, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, keeping up with that routine, I sat down to have a cup of tea, and it tastes different. And I could not figure out why it did not taste like it normally tastes. And then I looked at it, and it hit me. I never did drop the tea bag in.
Oh wow.
And that's how that happened. So in my mind, I'm not purposefully putting anything together. I'm forgetting and making a mistake or what I thought was a mistake at the time. But really, it was just the foundation. It was, something that I did not know. I had no vision for it. And so
Mm.
knowing what the benefits are with ginger, I mean, it's the natural way to regulate your A1Cs. They're natural anti-inflammatory. They're great for your digestive system. So they address um, a lot of different things. I subscribe to it. It's a staple in my home. I always have it. It's safe and I give it to my son. I've been giving it to him ever since he was able to have honey. So since he was like one, if he ever had gotten ill, that's what I would give him because it was something that was natural, and it happened to get him well, and and he responded best to that. And by him also being asthmatic, they had him on a lot of medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in giving him the teas and going through the seasonal allergies, and having to address those things, the teas really helped him to get past those symptoms, and it helped him to manage and address his conditions where we don't really have those problems anymore. So that's just me living the experience. I never had to go to the lab and experiment here. I never did any book research. I had not gone to school for it. I really went to God's school. I feel like God will lead you to places, lead you to people, lead you to information, and it
Mm-hmm.
falls into place. And that's just how it happened for me. And so, forward up 12, 13 years later, we're in the midst of a pandemic, and all I'm doing is sharing a sister's love. I'm looking out for my brother because I want him to be well. And so I
Right.
dropped him off some teas and it helped him and his family and or his friends, his family of friends, and that's what that's what happened.
Wow.
So I hope I answered your question, but
Jeez.
I don't have
No,
any, none
yeah.
of this is mine.
Yeah, you did. It's amazing how when you're right, when you are in the midst of doing you and God's like, okay, so I appreciate you trying to do what you're gonna do, but I need you to do this. And when you're obedient, it's the most amazing thing because you learn so much about what it is that he wants to do in our lives. And I
Mhm.
think we get caught up in the world because we're caught between doing what the world wants us to do and doing what God wants us to do, and then our flesh, right? Because
Yeah.
our flesh thinks it knows. And it doesn't always know. It doesn't always know, but for you to just be obedient and like you said, you looked at it as a mistake. God said, "Nah, this is not a mistake. This is what I needed to happen." And perhaps if he had just gave it to you, maybe you wouldn't have been as quick to do it. He also used the relationship, your love for your brother, and the desire to want to see him well and do well to say, you know what, let me let this manifest itself. Let me bring forth something. And you're going to realize what it's doing for others. And it's all the things that I already put in this world for y'all. We just don't use it. We will use all these other remedies. We're quick to want to go ahead and give kudos to modern medicine, and nothing's wrong with modern medicine. Don't get me wrong. However, the earth has all the natural healing herbs and things we need to make medicines because before there was modern medicine, before there was a university, before there was doctors, official doctors, there was healing, natural healing. And you're kind of just helping us get back to that way, that practice. All right, technology is not always our friends. Now, as we were saying before, we were technically interrupted. These juices are all Ryan approved. Elaborate on that.
Okay, Ryan is my son, and the teas are to his liking.
Okay.
So it's how I would normally make the tea for Ryan. And so Ryan is the one
Okay.
who approves them. So if, when
Ha!
I prepare a batch, I set aside a sample and Ryan samples it. And if he says, "Mom, it's bussin'," then I know I got a product.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Okay. Now, let me ask you. So, I know you initially started out just making something to help your brother and a few friends.
Mhm.
Now that the word has gotten out, and I'm a witness, y'all. I'm a witness because Ryan would bring in a box, and I ain't talking about no tiny box, y'all. A big box of the juices, and I promise you, I don't think you ever left with any.
No.
How do you keep up with the supply and demand?
Um, well, what's helpful is pre-ordering because that allows me to prepare.
Okay.
And, I try not to run out, but that's not a bad it's not a bad thing to happen.
Right. Right.
Um, it shows that there is a demand for it, which it also shows that there's a need for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to plan that, and I have a T line, and I have a place where people can reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram. I am AC's Tea on Facebook, and I am AC.STEA on Instagram, and so people can reach out to me at any time and arrange that. And it's just a blessing to be able to serve, and I'm happy to do so.
Now, what sizes do your juices come in?
Um, 8 ounces, which is a simple cup of tea.
Okay.
I do have a 16 ounce available and now a 32 ounce.
Okay. And what is the price range for the 8, the 12, and the what's the other one? 8, 12,
8, 16, and
8,
32.
16, and 32. 8, 16, 32. Can't miss that. Okay. Okay, what's your prices for those?
So five a cup. So they're 5, they're 10, and 20.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And so what are the two what's the proper name? If I like, I call it the ginger. I want the ginger tea.
Mhm.
So is that what it's called, the ginger tea?
There is no official name for it. It is ginger tea, and that's what I call it for the time being. And I think
Okay.
as we develop, we'll probably give it a fun name or a cool name. But I played around with it. I was thinking about calling it the vaccine and the booster because that was my
Oh,
vaccine and my booster. It is continuously.
yeah. Okay.
So, some ideas are formulating, and, I'm running into people like, God is so good.
It
Like
is.
running into people who have poured into me so much knowledge that I really could have trialed and errored this thing. And it has not been that. It has been very pleasant. There have been people who have dropped some jewels right in my lap. And so that was another confirmation that God is good and that this isn't about me. This isn't something that I put together or anything. It's all about God and serving God's people. And the one thing
Yes.
that you said in the beginning of this podcast is that your gifts will make room for you. Well, that was
Yes.
the reason why I brought teas to rehearsal. Because
Mm.
Saturdays would generally be my big tea day. And
Mm-hmm.
so the times that we would be at rehearsal kind of cut into the times where I was serving people. And so one day I was listening to the radio and I heard someone say, "Your gift will make room for you." And they explained it in such a way where it was like, "Hey, bring those teas to rehearsal."
Mm-hmm.
And I brought my teas to rehearsal the first time and I just gave them away.
Yeah,
I
I
gave them,
remember. Yeah.
and after that, I started getting orders. And I felt like, okay, well, let me bring them to rehearsal because people seem to like them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We
just kept
love
going.
them. Mm-hmm. We love them. Yeah. And what's so crazy is that they would go so fast. They would go so fast. And I say that to say, have you thought about putting them in different stores, like a Whole Foods store? Um, the not the bigger chains to start off, but the ones that
Mhm.
people go to when they say, I'm looking for healthy. And have you thought about that? Has anyone approached you with that idea?
Absolutely. I've
Okay.
heard about, I've been approached with that. I've been approached with the larger. My preference is not to do anything large because I don't want to compromise the integrity of the tea. Um, they're how they are
Absolutely.
for a reason. And so I'm not
Mm-hmm.
interested in adding anything to prolong a shelf life or
Mm-hmm.
anything. That's just not how this was natural. It's not the natural way of doing things. And I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I've even envisioned like I want to maybe set it up the way Starbucks is. I've never had it cold until maybe about a year ago when I started serving other people. I've always just brewed my cup and enjoyed it right there on the spot. So, and
Mm.
my thoughts about that was to do just like Starbucks, where people can drive up, grab their tea, and keep it moving. So I have
Nice.
a lot of ideas for it. I think it's a need for it. I think everyone should access it. I think it should be in hospitals. I think it should be in school
Mm.
cafeterias. It should be in health food
Mm.
stores. It should help people address their nausea after chemotherapy. There's just so much, it should help pregnant women. Like everyone should access it. And it's another reason why I want to keep the price affordable because everyone should have access to it.
That's definitely a recipe for longevity. I see that. That's definitely when we think about the natural things help us last longer. The natural preservatives, as you say.
Mhm.
We don't, the things that got shelf life or whatever. As I was saying yesterday, I'm following someone on social media and he pointed out there's so many things we eat that we know like things that got a lot of sugar, they're not good for us. Sometimes they be good to us. And a lot of times we go for that. Like, oh yeah. And growing up, I can't tell you how many Pop Tarts I had, but when I'm so serious, I used to love Pop Tarts. I used to have to eat them hot, and then it was like, oh, I don't even need to toast them. I'll just eat them straight on. But
Wow.
then he shared that one of the ingredients in a Pop Tart was a trace of antifreeze.
Wow.
And I'm like, nah. So when I look, I'm like, oh my God. He said, if you just think about the things we put in our mouth, in our bodies, on our skins, like, it's just
Hmm.
amazing because you look at the back of something and they got all these things we don't know and we just take it. Oh yeah, it's good for you. Who said it? Because FDA, well, the FDA, that's a whole nother story. But it's just like, all right, listen, I need it to be God approved. That means it came from the
Okay.
earth. I need it to
Yeah.
come from the earth, right? I don't need man modified. Like you said, let me put this into your tea, Alita, so we can have shelf life. Then it's not natural. Now we're adding some stuff. I must cuss y'all. Be praying for me because I'm working on it. But we're adding some stuff in there that's taking the beauty of the naturalness out. It's
Yeah.
just like, we use things to alter things to enhance it, but we don't realize how far away from naturalness we get when we add
Yeah.
things to it.
Absolutely. And I
So
don't think that we. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Yeah, I could go for that. With your brand, I see it being in the stores. I see it being where you can order online, where it can get shipped to you. Because there's a lot of great things that we order that you can't get in a store.
Hmm.
But to be able to say, yes, I deliver or I ship it, that's a blessing. Because people order stuff all the time. They get things shipped all the time. And when we start to look at how you invest in a car, you invest in a home,
That's right.
you invest in materialistic things. What about investing in your body? Adding something that's helping you internally is priceless.
Absolutely. And a lot of our building has to come from the inside out. What you put
Mm,
in your body, what you put in your mind, what you
yeah,
allow to access you, what you expose yourself to. It's a lot. It all works together. And so it's important to be kind to yourself. It's important to take care of yourself. It's
mm,
important to teach our children at a very young age what's important to them and what works for them, and what the right food to put in your bodies. I think we just can't get enough of that. We need
yeah,
more of that. And when you're driving around the city, you see more McDonald's and liquor stores than you see anything else.
that's right.
You
Yeah.
want more farmers markets. You
Mm-hmm.
want more access to produce shops and
Mm-hmm.
places where you can have access to that. And I feel like we need to know how to grow. We need to know how to make the land work for us and get back to the basics.
I
It's inspired
agree.
me to start growing ginger and growing turmeric. I have a cousin, shout out to Q Said Q. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, you name it, she could figure out how to grow it. I mean, she's just magical with it. And so
Okay.
that was another thing, finding a way, because like you said, the FDA, they're supposed to approve what we can consume.
Hmm.
And if we have traces of antifreeze in our
Yeah.
Pop Tarts, oh my goodness, you blew my mind with that. Let me
I'm
tell
gonna
you.
try to. I can find it because I think I sent it to my husband. I'm gonna share it with you because I follow the gentleman, and he's always giving you some like just toothpastes, just all kind of stuff because these are everyday things we consume, and we
Yes.
don't we don't look about it. Like I'm looking at some mouthwash right now, and I'm like, okay, uh, it's all kind of stuff. You put it in there, it's good for bad breath and
Hmm.
gingivitis and all that. But what
Can't
else does
swallow
it
it.
do? You know what I'm saying? What else is it doing? What else is in
Hmm.
there?
And
And
you shouldn't
so
swallow it.
you shouldn't swallow it. Right, right. So yeah, I'm thankful that you are allowing God's ability to manifest and you answer the call. I thank God that you were inspired because you put love into it because you love your brother. So you were trying to figure out what can I do to get him right because I need him to be right here on this earth with me. So
Hmm.
it's like, okay,
It's
you said,
all.
okay, it's the vaccine, it's the booster. So it's like, okay, because I believe naturalness is what we need, right? And you ain't have to take no jab for
Hmm.
that booster. You know what I mean? And it keeps you going. And I'm a witness. Like I said earlier, I remember not feeling well when I came to rehearsal on a Saturday,
Hmm.
and I got me a ginger, and I drank a little bit of it, And then I drank the rest of it before the end of our first session before we went
Mhm.
on break. And by the time we left, I promise I felt so much better. Nobody really did know I didn't feel too good that day.
Right.
But and then as you said, it's anti-inflammatory because also and I always say they say I have lupus. And so
Mm.
um inflammation attacks my body a lot. And
Mm.
so I'm thinking of that. I was thinking even last night when we were talking for the Tap In Tuesday, I'm like, I need to go on and get me some. And, I need to get me one five where I can get five a week because I want to have one a day. I don't just to see, like, let me see if I incorporate this for my lunch. If I get me a 16 ounce,
Mhm.
that could be my lunch. And then let me see
Mhm.
and that's just me. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I wonder how that would work for me. So that's something I'm gonna try. I think I would like to look at a journey of doing that. Like, you know what, for my lunch,
Mhm.
I have a 16-ounce juice, and yeah, I want to see the benefits, how I feel in my body, and incorporating because I'm getting ready to join the gym, and it's what I want to do for myself, healthy. You know,
Mhm.
you. I told my husband the other day, when you bend over to tie your shoe and you out of breath, it's a problem. It's a problem,
Indeed.
and it's a problem. So I'm like, or if I feel sluggish and I'm tired and my
Mhm.
energy is low, it's
Yeah.
like there's all kind of things, and they're quick to put you on a moderate medicine. They're quick to
Yeah.
put you on it,
Absolutely.
and I'm looking for holistic. So,
Mhm.
saying that to say, for the listeners who would love to be able to get a taste of your juice, how can they order your juice?
You can reach me directly on the T line, which is 313-380-0321. You can find me on Facebook at AC's Teas and on Instagram at ac.stea.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate you this morning and getting the people what they need. I'm looking forward to our part two of our live stream, and I definitely would love to have you come back on in the very near future. And also, I look forward to you. I would love to see you at some of these pop up events. I'm hosting a pop up event. I don't know if you
Mhm.
ever do those, but there is a pop up event coming in July.
Mhm.
July 28th is a Saturday. If you're interested, I'll text you the information. The young lady that is sponsoring this is amazing. Her name is Addie Cunningham. So
Mhm.
I would love to see you at some events like that because I think just like how I see people with custom wines and all that other stuff, I think
Mhm.
that having a natural, I've never really seen that at any of these where they have the natural juices. I see the juices with libations mixed in, but I haven't seen the natural health juices there. So I think that would be something that the people would appreciate and love. And if you, like most people, when you're there, you're giving out those little cups, the little tiny cups we gargle with samples. People can sample it. I think that they
Mhm.
would definitely fall in love with it and want to make a purchase right there on the spot.
I'd be happy to do that. And I'm happy to serve.
All
And if you
right.
want to do something on a weekly basis, you can join the tea party. We have people
Okay.
who subscribe and they get their teas for the week on a weekly basis. That is a thing.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. All right. Well, Alita AC, I appreciate you. I'm uh joining the tea club, and I'm hoping that all you seek to do and all he wants you to do with this tea, it goes beyond and blows your mind. And I'll be happy to interview you later in life and say, you know what, I remember. And just I know I prophesize that they won't be able to change the beauty of what you have because you're not gonna allow it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
You
you.
have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Take care. Thanks again.
You're welcome. Have a good day.